Good morning, gang. Monday. Here we go again. Okay, so this one's a little different. There was something that came up yesterday that kind of reminded me of a couple other things I've seen, and I kind of wanted to put a little warning out to y'all. Now, y'all know that every time we have some sort of disaster, okay? I mean, I'll use it, whatever it is. You always see price gouging and things like that. You know, it's like, oh, a hurricane's coming. Let's charge $9 a gallon of gas. Let's charge, $50 for a case of water, or whatever it would be. All right. And the local governments are usually pretty aware of that and, put out something that price gouging is illegal. They're going to be fined, whatever it would be. Okay. Now, this time it's a little different. This isn't your run-of-the-mill hurricane coming or there's a wildfire or something like that. It's not like, gee, board up your house real quick, but let's jack up the prices on lumber, as if they're not already high enough. Yeah, and I know they're coming down, but this time we're talking about food. And, we all know what the grocery stores look like. God knows enough of you guys have sent me pictures. We've talked about it. Every channel's talked about food shortages and things like that. And, a lot of people, including me, have said, get to know your neighbors, your local farmers, your local ranchers, whatever, so you could get food from them feasibly if the grocery store goes down. If you've got a rancher down the street, hey, talk to him about getting a side of beef, or somebody's got a huge cantaloupe farm, talk to him about getting cantaloupes, whatever it would be. Okay, but this brought up a couple of things. A friend of mine told me happened right here in town, and obviously you guys don't know what it looks like, but like I said, I'm 8 miles off the main road. Okay, 2-lane highway is the main road out there, and there's one way into town. When you get to the entrance exit, whatever you want to call it, to town here, and where it intersects with the 2-lane highway, there's a big empty spot on the other side of the road, and you'll see people there doing the roadside garage sales or the roadside farm stands or whatever it would be, which is good. I've got no problem with stuff like that. Hey, somebody's got strawberries or tomatoes or peaches or whatever it would be. Well, I guess this was maybe about a month ago. A friend of mine told me that they stopped over there and was talking to the guy, and he was selling tomatoes. Except they turned out that he was going to Ohio, or his brother was, or something like that, and bringing the tomatoes down here to sell them down here. Okay? You're selling, insinuating it's locally grown produce. And like I've told you, Granger County tomatoes, the next county over from me, are very famous tomatoes. Let's just put it that way. It's kind of like Vidalia onions from Vidalia, Georgia. Okay. But so he was bringing these tomatoes down to sell them. Now, I've got no problem with somebody trying to make a buck, and doing it that way. Hey, you got to get creative in times like this. But, okay, that's, a little misleading. But it wasn't terrible. But then I had seen a story about, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I don't remember where this was. It was Nebraska, Iowa, somewhere. It was somewhere in the Plains states, where you had a group of kids that was going out to cornfields overnight and stealing the corn and then going into town and selling the corn from the back of the pickup truck. Okay. Now, again, I got no problem with somebody getting creative to make a buck, no problem. But in this case, they're selling stolen goods. So, eventually the story came out, the kids got caught. But, I mean, really, it's like, okay, how much are you really getting for corn? I mean, I told you here, even with that one time over 4th of July, I saw 3 years for $2. How much money are you going to make off of stealing a bunch of, a truckload of corn? But this is what they were doing. So, as I was cruising around trying to keep up with what was going on in the news today, there's an interesting story. Westfield, Massachusetts. There's a man operating an unregistered meat van, and he is literally in a white van with an American flag painted on the side of it, going door to door, telling people, oh, hey, I had a bunch of deliveries and I don't have, I've got more meat than the stores bought. That strikes me as kind of odd, considering the stores are all screaming we don't have anything. Okay. Would you like to buy some steaks or whatever, half price? Now, again, I got no problem with anybody trying to make a buck. And even in the story, they're saying they don't think there's anything nefarious about this, okay? So, as the cops said, by all accounts, it appears as though he's literally selling discounted meat, and there does not appear to be anything nefarious going on at this time. Though, what I say about something like this is, where did it come from? Okay, I mean, is the guy a cattle farmer or something like that and butchered some of his cows and nobody wanted to buy it? But, then the ruse that, I had a bunch of meat deliveries and they didn't want everything, so you don't have the honesty about it. And I know everybody's going to be like, well, gee, the guy's just trying to make a living. Why does he need to be regulated and everything? I get that, okay? I understand that part, but you don't know anything about this guy. I mean, not saying he is or anything. I'm just saying be careful. But, who knows? Is it mad cow beef? I mean, you don't know. So, my whole point with something like this is, yeah, you want to support the local guys. Yeah, you want to find your alternate sources to get food, whatever you need. But ask a couple of questions, and listen to the answers. Don't just ask the questions and take whatever he says for granted. Make sure, like I said, the guy with the tomatoes, they're from Ohio. Okay, they're not what I thought they were. The corn, where'd the corn come from? I mean, you're talking about Great Plains states and cornfields. It's not like there's a whole lot of places, people that aren't going to know you. It's like, gee, here's a bunch of kids. None of them own a farm. So, ask a couple of questions. Where'd it come from? Gee, it's a little early this year for tomatoes or early for corn or whatever it is. Where'd it come from? Anything like that. Why are you doing this? And make sure, because you don't know what you're getting into. Because remember, again, if the corn, I don't think they'd prosecute something like this, but technically, if you buy it, you've committed a crime. It's receiving stolen goods. Okay. Who knows the story on the guy with the meat, whatever it is. Is the meat stolen? Don't know, we've seen, I'll give you this one. We've seen these stories where people are dumpster diving behind grocery stores and pulling out food, meat included, that the grocery stores have thrown out and said, gee, it's past its expiration date or whatever, we can't do it. There's stories all over the news that you can find on that. Okay, people are going and getting food out of the dumpsters behind groceries. Who's to say that's not what this guy's doing? Then he's turning around, repackaging it. Saran wrap ain't that expensive. He used the same piece of styrofoam, and now it's selling it to you. So be very careful as to what you get and who you buy stuff from. I know it sounds counterproductive, but because everybody's trying to save a buck. Grow your own. Buy your, if you're going to get your meat, your cheese, your eggs, your tomatoes, whatever it is from somebody local, make sure you know who they are, or at least, have some sort of reference. A friend of yours, a neighbor says, hey, this guy's got good stuff, or whatever it would be. To take those things into consideration. It's kind of important because you don't want to be getting in trouble, and God knows you don't want to be getting sick. So, all right, guys, just something that kind of came across it. Believe it or not, it's not political and it's not about COVID, huh? So have a good Monday. If anything comes up, I'll be back. See y'all. Pinball out.